On the African savannah, one ancient law has ruled for 10,000 years, until tonight. It broke. A lion, the strongest creature on these plains, chose to kneel before the animals it once hunted. Why would a king surrender his crown? What you are about to witness should be impossible. For countless generations, the savannah has obeyed a single rule. Strength alone decides who survives. Here, the powerful rise and the weak fall back. Every creature kept apart by ancient instinct. Predators hunt, and prey flee. A cruel order written into blood across millions of silent years. No mercy passes between hunter and hunted, for the line dividing them has never once been crossed. The lion stands above them all, the undisputed monarch, whose roar commands the golden plains. Yet, even kings are not spared by time. And tonight, the throne itself begins to tremble. The night had been long and merciless, a brutal hunt that ended in failure and exhaustion. Once the proud and unrivaled ruler of these plains, the lion now staggered across the dry grass, every step drained more of its fading strength, its powerful body trembling beneath the rising sun. Its golden mane, once a symbol of terror and pride, hung dull and heavy in the warm air. The hunger of many days had hollowed its frame, leaving only the shadow of a former king. It searched the horizon for safety, but the open grassland offered nothing except distance and silence. Then, from the swaying grass behind it, low and patient shapes began to gather in the shadows. The hyenas had been watching for hours, waiting for the great predator to finally lose its power. They circled at a careful distance, sensing weakness, their patient eyes fixed on the stumbling lion. The lion understood its danger completely. Too weak to fight, too slow now to ever escape. Faced with certain death, it abandoned every instinct it had trusted through a lifetime of dominance. In the distance, a herd of buffalo grazed quietly beneath the soft light of the early morning. 20 lion, that herd had always meant one thing only: a target, a hunt, a meal. But this morning, the broken king saw something else entirely. A fragile, impossible chance to live. Gathering the last fragment of its strength, the lion turned slowly toward the distant grazing herd. It moved without threat, without the silent crouch of a hunter, without any trace of former pride. Each careful step carried it closer to creatures that should, by every law, run from its shadow. The morning wind carried the lion's scent across the plain, and the herd lifted their heavy heads. Instantly, the lead bull sensed the predator and froze, every muscle tightening in ancient, primal alarm. The great bull lowered its horns, a living wall of muscle ready to defend the gathered herd. Between the apex predator and the gentle herd stood an age-old divide, and conflict seemed certain. The other buffalo gathered behind their leader, hooves planted firmly, watching the approaching lion with suspicion. Every creature on the plain seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the violence that always followed. But the lion did not charge, did not crouch, did not show the killing intent they expected. Instead, it kept walking forward, slow and open, its tired eyes holding no hunger and no threat. The bull watched, confused, as the lion came nearer than any predator had ever dared to come. Then the lion did something no creature on this savannah had ever witnessed in countless generations. It stepped softly onto the green grass, and slowly, deliberately, began to lower its massive body. The proud king of the plains knelt down, folding its legs beneath itself before the watching herd. It bowed its great head low, releasing every shred of pride, surrendering completely to the buffalo's mercy. There was no aggression in its posture, no hidden threat, only the quiet plea of a king. The savannah's once mighty ruler laid its power upon the grass, waiting silently for whatever would come. A deep, breathless stillness settled across the plain, as if the whole savannah had stopped to watch. The bull stared at the kneeling lion, reading the surrender in its lowered head and trembling shoulders. Every instinct in that buffalo screamed of danger, of the predator that had hunted its kind forever. The herd waited, tense and uncertain, for their leader to decide the fate of the fallen king. Then, slowly, the great bull did something that defied every law written into its ancient blood. It lowered its mighty head, not in anger, but with a gentleness no one expected to see. The bull reached forward and touched the lion's ear softly with its warm, gentle, trusting nose. It was a pure and tender gesture, completely free of suspicion, fear, anger, or any old hostility. In that single touch, 10,000 years of instinct quietly dissolved into something gentle and entirely new. The lion lifted its eyes, and in them shone no hunger, only disbelief, relief, and gratitude. For the first time in its proud life, the king had been met not with fear, but kindness. And then, as if moved by a single heart, the entire herd began to draw closer together. One by one, the buffalo gathered around the exhausted lion, their sturdy bodies forming a living shelter. They stood shoulder to shoulder, a warm and solid wall, holding the fallen king safely at their center. The lion rested within the circle, surrounded not by enemies, but by unlikely and unexpected gentle guardians. The morning sun rose higher, washing the strange and peaceful gathering in soft, warm, golden light. But peace on the savannah never lasts for long, and danger had not yet given up. Sharp, restless cackles broke the stillness as the hyenas crept back across the open grassland. They had not forgotten the weakened lion, and now they came hungry, bold, and certain of victory. The scavengers rushed forward across the grass, only to halt before an unyielding wall of buffalo. The once helpless lion was no longer alone, now shielded by a gentle yet unbreakable living barrier. The hyenas circled the herd restlessly, searching for a single gap, a weakness, a way inside. But every attempt to break through was firmly met by the lowered horns of the watchful bull. United and unmoving, the herd held their ground, guarding the vulnerable stranger with quiet, unshakable resolve. The buffalo that once fled from this very lion now stood firm, refusing to abandon it. After countless failed attempts, the scavengers slowed, their confidence fading against such unexpected, immovable courage. At last the hyenas withdrew, retreating in frustration, fading slowly into the vast and empty grasslands. With the threat finally gone, a calm peace settled once more across the wide, golden plain. Slowly, the protective circle of buffalo loosened, and the tension lifted gently from the savannah air. The exhausted lion finally relaxed, its weary body sinking into a deep, safe, and unfamiliar calm. In the days that followed, the buffalo that once feared lions stayed close, watchful, and patient. They kept a gentle, steady vigil, while the fallen king slowly gathered back its lost strength. With every passing day, the ancient hostility between them softened into something quiet and deeply trusting. Predator and prey rested side by side, two worlds that should never touch, now bound by kindness. When its full strength returned at last, the lion rose, slowly and steadily upon the golden grass. It gazed at the bull that had sheltered it, its eyes holding only pure and sincere gratitude. Then it turned and walked into the glowing sunset, vanishing slowly into the boundless, quiet savannah. From that day on, the lion never again threatened the herd that had shown it such mercy. But somewhere on that vast savannah, the old laws had quietly changed, and the wild would remember. Love breaks all rules. Follow for more wild, heartfelt moments